What's up, guys? Matt here with The Life of Matt. Today is the release of the pre-expansion patch for World of Warcraft Legion. We're currently in the Warlords of Draenor expansion. Legion will be released on August 30th, with possible access to the Demon Hunters on August 17th or possibly sooner. There's no official word there. But the pre-patch did hit today, and one of the things, we've gone over a bunch of stuff today, and you may want to go check out some of the other videos I've released as well. But what I want to go over is the actual patch notes for World of Warcraft today, because a lot of people have all of these questions regarding patches and what you can and cannot do, but then they fail to read the actual patch notes. So there's a couple things that I want to go over with you. I'm not going to go over everything, because some of it is just like little details, like the transmogrification system. Basically, there's just some things that I don't feel the need to go over, and that's going to be one of them. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump right into this. Let's go ahead and talk about PvP, because that's one of the big changes that they've made, and one of the ones that I'm really excited about as someone who didn't agree with the PvP system before, and I think it'll actually get a lot more players to get into PvP, and that was definitely their objective, as they've said, through multiple Q&A sessions that they provide, which are really great. I feel like they've been really open with us about what's going on and what their direction for the game is. And I think that's really great as a company. I always trust Blizzard. I love Blizzard. They do a great job. So let's start here. Revamp PvP progression and honor system. So the PvP system will now provide appropriate items for players level 100 and below. So they're just fine-tuning the reward system and what kind of gear and items that you can get through that. Honor points and conquest points have been removed as a currency, so it looks like there's less choices as far as what currencies they can have. Items that were purchased using honor or conquest are now available for purchase with marks of honor that can be earned from battlegrounds, arenas, and skirmishes. So they're just giving you a way to get the items that you previously could only get through honor points and conquest points. There you have a Legion PvP preview, and you can access these patch notes very easily from battle.net. It's very easy to get into it. So let's talk about arenas. The pennant attached to the back of characters now changes its appearance based on the player's best rating in the arena bracket, so that's just a visual change. The 5v5 arena bracket has been retired. Arena Master achievement has been converted into a feat of strength, so it looks like they're just getting rid of the 5v5 bracket, which makes sense because it was really chaotic and not all that enjoyable, to be perfectly honest. I didn't enjoy it. When I do arenas, I prefer usually 2v2 is my favorite. So winning a battleground, let's talk about battlegrounds. Winning a battleground with characters below level 110 now awards a crate of battlefield goods. Players on the opposing team also have a chance to receive a crate with an increasing chance based on the team's score at the end of the match. The crate contains a piece of armor appropriate for the character's level and specialization, with a chance for the crate to contain additional rewards such as weapons or relics. So that's a really great incentive to do PvP below level 110 to increase the odds of getting better gear and being a better PvPer. Let's talk about raids and dungeons. Hellfire Citadel, enemies on normal, heroic, and mythical difficulty now deal roughly 30% less damage. Let's talk about that for a second. That's a really great thing to hear, because some people, more casual players, didn't have a chance to get through the content and see the fights with the different mechanics on heroic and especially on mythic. I personally haven't been through mythic. I have cleared heroic. I do have all of the bosses on heroic down, but I never did get a chance to do mythic because of time constraints and guild and blah blah blah. You know, excuse here, excuse there. So they now deal roughly 30% less damage, which is going to give a larger player base an opportunity to complete that content in the coming weeks before the release of Legion, when it becomes a legacy raid. Legacy raids, let's talk about this for a second. So they've normalized the gold for legacy raids prior to Warlords of Draenor. So the heroic difficulty Cataclysm raids now award less gold than before, because I believe people were farming them and making a shit ton of money. While raids from Mists of Pandaria and the Wrath of Lich King will actually now award more gold, which is really cool because that gives you an opportunity to have more sources to farm from. The Ruins of AQ now reset daily instead of every 3 days. Not quite sure why they did that. That's an old legacy raid from Vanilla, if I'm not mistaken. Let's talk about quests in the world. Legendary Ring questline. Players can no longer start the questline for the Legendary Ring. Players currently on the Legendary questline have until the launch of Legion to complete it, at which point the uncompleted quest will be moved to the quest log. So that's just saying that if you don't already have your Legendary Ring and you haven't started the quest, you're fucked. Otherwise, make sure you finish it in the next 6 weeks or so. Just under 6 weeks, it would appear. Tap changes. I'm not sure I understand this one. I'll have to clarify, but it says all creatures and NPCs can now be tapped by up to 5 other characters. Maybe I'm just unfamiliar or not getting what it's saying here. Please let me know down in the comments below if you have any idea. So let's talk about the Brawlers Guild. It's taking a break, so they're just getting rid of the Brawlers Guild. Obviously, it's going to come back because it does say they will return at a later date. Same with the Stranglethorn Fishing Extravaganza. So let's talk about items and itemizations real quick. In an effort to reduce the amount of gear swapping between specializations, the following changes have been made. Legion cloaks, rings, and items worn on the neck will no longer be tied to a specific primary stat and will remain relevant between specializations, so that's really nice. Spirit and bonus armor have been removed. I didn't actually know that Spirit had been removed until just now when I read this, so just so you guys know, I haven't been through this either. I'm just kind of thought it would be nice to read this with you guys and kind of go through it and share my kind of first initial impressions with what I have. Multi-strike has been removed. Items that had multi-strike have had it replaced with another secondary stat, so that's really cool. If you go into the game and you look at your character tab, it's definitely much more simplified. There's not so many stats. There's maybe 5 or 6 different stats in there. They're all relevant to your character. It makes it a lot easier to read and more easy to understand, and I don't think it needed to be as complicated as it was, even for the hardcore players who like to see a higher level of difficulty. I don't think it needed to be that, confusing. Let's see here. Set bonuses for item sets from expansions prior to Warlords of Draenor have been deactivated, though the text describing their former function still remains. I'm not sure why they would have done that, but I guess it is what it is. Spell power on all caster weapons have been consolidated into intellect to make it easier to compare item power between 2 caster weapons. Overall, the weapon power remains unchanged. So that's pretty cool. I actually like that. It's much simpler, easier to look at. And for people that are like, oh, you're making the game too easy, fuck you. Potion of Luck and the greater, talk about items. Potion of Luck and the greater potions of luck no longer have an effect. I never used them anyway, so that's fine. Gladiator's distinction set bonus is removed from all PvP trinkets. Okay. We're gonna leave, let's see here. I want to kind of go over just some browse. So they obviously made some huge changes to the talent trees. Players may now only change talent freely when in any rested XP area, which is nice because you no longer need the tomes of, I think they're the Tombs of Clarity? Tombs of Clarity, yeah. You no longer need those. You can just switch your spec between any of your available specialties. So instead of dual specialization, you now have either 3 or 4 different class specializations that you can choose from at any given time. And you can also swap between any of the talents within that tree at any time without having to pay any sort of fee at all, which is really, really nice. It makes it quicker. I always thought the tombs were stupid and made it a big pain in the ass. And they didn't really add to the experience in any way where you had to work for something or do a quest or anything that really added to the storyline or the feel or experience of the game, in my opinion. So I'm really glad that they actually got rid of that. So yeah, and as it says, as a result, dual specialization has been removed. Action bar configurations and talent loadouts are saved for each specialization, which is really nice. They continue to do that. Let's talk about talent system changes. Glyph system changes. The glyph panel has been removed from the game, so some minor glyphs that had a cosmetic effect that does not apply to a specific spell have been converted into cosmetic items that provide the same effect as before. So I'm really hoping that they still have the tree form, because I swear to God, if they don't, I'll probably punch a hole through my monitor. Just saying. Totally an appropriate reaction. Some minor glyphs have been made that made cosmetic alterations to a specific spell have been added to the spell itself in the spell book. That's interesting. I'll have to check that out. I'm very interested to see if that's something that you right-click and take a look at. I don't know. Gnomes can now be hunters, which is fucking amazing. I've been waiting for this. Literally have thought that this should have been something for a decade now, and I'm so excited because I do have Hunter, and I will be changing him to a gnome as soon as possible. Draenor porks. So the Draenor pigs have been removed from the game. Draenor perks have been removed from the game. And let's talk about armor changes real quick. Hunters and Shaman now can equip male armor from level 1. Instead of having to do leather up till level 40 and then mail up from there. Warriors and Paladins can now do plate from level 1, again instead of having to wait till level 40 and wailing. Dear God, I am doing great tonight. Wearing mail armor until level 40. And new mail and plate options have been added to low level quest. And then the last thing I want to go over in this particular video is racial abilities. And it looks like the only real change that they've made is for the humans. So every man for himself now removes all stun effects and shares a 30-second cooldown with other items or abilities that have a similar effect. And Human Spirit has been redesigned. Human characters now gain 1% of all secondary stats, haste, critical haste, mastery, and versatility from all sources. Actually, we're almost at the end, so let's go ahead and finish this up. And then the next video that I'm going to be shooting, we're going to go through just a series of dungeons and stuff just to kind of play around. Okay, so all classes and specializations have undergone changes to abilities and mechanics. Check our latest preview logs for a better understanding of the thought process behind these changes. And so it gives you a whole list, and you can go to your class or any class that you want to take a peek at through this and see how the changes have been made, what changes have been made, and kind of their thought process behind it, which I see as a completely open and really transparent way to provide us with that information. And I really like that, so that you at least have an idea, even if you don't necessarily agree with why they changed it, you can see the broader idea of why they did do what they did. Let's talk about the Garrison. So many sources of gold from the Garrison have been reduced or removed. So that kind of answers my question earlier. We were noticing that there were some gold missions, but it looks like they're going to have some, but definitely not all of them removed. I'm not sure if that's going to change to completely all of them gone when Legion was released. I would assume not, because that would be a silly change to making a two-step process, I guess. But I don't know. We'll see. Newly obtained salvage from the salvage yard no longer contains equipable items. Salvage obtained from before the patch remains unaffected, so I never used the salvage yard, so I'm not really sure how that would affect anybody. It doesn't sound like a big deal to me. We all know that the garrisons are really going away. They're being replaced by class order halls, and so we're just not going to really be using them anyway. Some of this is about collections. Let's talk about the professions real quick. Inscription looks like the only major change. Major glyphs, along with many minor glyphs, have been converted or removed from the game. That makes sense. Inscription now, I'm not sure what they've done with that to make it more appealing, because there are no glyphs, and it kind of seems like a dumb thing to have. I don't know. Have you seen anything? Talking to my brother here about Inscription. Do you have any characters with Inscription? So I'm not sure what they've done with that to this point. So let's talk about the UI. Character nameplates have been reworked and been upgraded to show the class resources. Players may select a larger version of these nameplates from within the interface options menu. Enemy nameplates now provide additional information on status effects. Added class resource bars that display directly underneath your character, which is awesome. I did notice that earlier. The character sheet has been trimmed down, though fully for both stats are still available via the API. Interface options have changed and been further streamlined. I'm not sure what that means, but it sounds cool. Tab targeting logic has been reworked and should now behave in a more consistent and predictable manner. Fucking finally. That would be great. Thank you, Blizzard. Hopefully it works. A buff icon has been added to make it easier to tell when a character has XP gain disabled. That makes sense. I do think that makes a lot of sense, because if you're definitely sticking at a lower level for whatever reason, that makes it really easy to make sure that you're not fucking up, because I would be absolutely pissed if I was trying to level cap, somehow managed to forget, didn't notice, and I somehow got to the next level. And let's talk about the account. So the maximum amount of gold held at once has been increased to 9,999,999 gold. Same thing with the guild bank. And the maximum number of characters on a realm has been increased to 12. And the last thing we're going to go over real quick is the graphics engine. Maximum draw distance has been extended greatly for all world content. That's awesome. I'm actually going to we're going to have a video just for the upgrades to the graphical engine here a little bit later. 5 additional levels of graphic presets have been added, with 3 above the previous ultra setting. That's going to be interesting. More advanced rendering techniques for fog have been added, and more modern techniques for rendering color and other post effects have been added. So that's the big chunk of the patch notes for the pre-patch for World of Warcraft Legion, the pre-patch for Legion that was released today on July 19th. Thanks so much, guys, for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the content. A like is always appreciated. A thumbs up is always appreciated. And don't forget to subscribe so you guys can keep up with all the new content I'll be releasing for this patch and for any other content that I have for my vlogs. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll talk to you guys later.